Oh boy, what I would tell myself if I could go back in time as a new mom. So many things, but I've narrowed it down to the absolute essentials in this video, things that I would tell my sister or my best friend, things that I tell my clients, anyone who's going to have a new baby, and I wanted to share that with you, the do's and don'ts, the things I regret or the things that I did do, the things that I have learned along the way, because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. So if you're excited about that and you don't want to make some of the same mistakes that I did, then make sure that you keep watching or listening if you're listening to the podcast. If you're new here, whether you're listening to the podcast or watching me on YouTube, hello, my name is Julie. I have a doctorate in occupational therapy. I am a mom of 3 little ones, and I am a life coach for moms. So I help clients go from feeling overwhelmed, maybe they don't have a good routine, maybe they're trying to get back into good physical shape and mental wellness after having a baby, or transitioning from 1 baby to 2 babies to 3 babies. I help moms along the way, because when you have a coach, you have dedicated objectivity and you get from point A to point B so much quicker. Let me tell you, I speak from experience, having invested in coaches myself. So that is what I do for my day job, and I absolutely love it. It is such a privilege to serve my clients in this way, and also to give back on YouTube and through my podcast. So if this is something that's interesting to you, learning about how to be intentional with your parenting, then make sure you hit the subscribe button, like this video, share it with all the mommies out there that you know that could benefit. And make sure you leave a review on Apple Podcasts if you are listening. And with all of that said, let's jump into the video, things that I wish I would have done differently, or lessons that I have learned, and advice that I would give to a first-time mom. Okay, so if I could go back in time and wave a magic wand, the first thing I would do, and probably if you take nothing else from this video, this is very, very important, but I would stress less. Yeah, easier said than done. What new mom isn't a little bit anxious? This is such high stakes, having a new little baby. It is a new job for you, but you're being like bombarded by the sleep deprivation and just the radical change in lifestyle. And the stakes are high, right? This is the thing that you love the most in the world, and you don't want to mess it up. But let me let you in on a little secret. When you stress and you give out that energy, remember, babies don't speak English, they speak energy, is what I always say. And it is so true. And our thoughts are very powerful. So if you have, negative thoughts or unhelpful thoughts and you're stressing out, babies will smell that. They sense that. And just like us as adults, when we sense desperation, we go in the opposite direction. So if you're trying to potty train and your child doesn't want to, or feels like knows that you're so desperate, or you really want them to go to sleep, baby, just go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep. Or you're trying to feed them, why won't you eat? Why aren't you eating anything? Or why won't you put on your clothes? Or it makes no sense what you're wearing. When you stress about this stuff, which ultimately you'll probably forget most of it, or it's just natural, especially as they become toddlers, it's even more difficult. Like, it's just wasting your energy. You just have to sit back and enjoy the moment. And I promise you, it's like a chicken and egg, because when you stress less, usually they behave better and they're more compliant and they're happier to go along with what you're trying to do and achieve. So that's my number 1 tip for sure. Stress less. Along the lines of this is to not take things personally. I remember having conversations with my husband. I was so frustrated because I couldn't get my first child to sleep, and I've learned a lot during these past years in his life and having 2 more kids, that not taking things personally. He's not trying to make my life difficult. If he wakes up at 2 a.m. and I can't get him to go back to sleep, or we're struggling with naps, there's something up. And I've learned through working with hundreds of clients and friends, and just talking to so many moms and people, that often there are things that we can do with sleep in particular that have nothing to do with us, and it has nothing to do with us personally. If anything, the stressing out is making things worse, right? But if you just go in there objectively, your child is not out to get you and make your life difficult, it really, really helps. This is a hard one for me, but allowing my husband to do more. Now, as a confessed, recovering perfectionist, type A personality, I wanted to do it all. And this is actually something that I have been reading about a lot. It's this collective consciousness of Western moms, particularly in America and in the UK. And I live in the States, right? So I've definitely absorbed this culture where we we put all of our drive and ambition that we would maybe put into our career, or that we have put into our career or into our studies, we put that into our children, and we put so much pressure on them, and that doesn't do anybody any favors. So what would happen is that I felt like I was the only one that could, help with the baby. And in some ways, yes, I was breastfeeding the baby. I'm the only one who can birth the baby, sure. But I didn't give my husband enough of a chance to practice many of the skills that come with parenting. Parenting, if you break it down, is a set of many, many sub skills that are kind of performed in a high pressure situation. But if you don't have a chance to practice, you don't get good at them, and you don't feel competent, and then you don't feel confident. And if you don't feel confident, you're not going to volunteer to do things. You're not going to want to be alone with the baby. And so I wish I had allowed him and enabled him to feel more confident with his child, which is 50% him and 50% me. So it is his right to be able to spend as much time with our children as me. And so I wish I had let go just a little bit more. Okay, if you live in a colder climate, this might be easier said than done, but try your best to get outside every day with that baby. If you can, find an accountability buddy, find another mom who has a baby a similar age. There are many of them. Make friends with her, have an agreement that you're gonna meet her and you're gonna go for a coffee and you're gonna walk and you're gonna get outside. I've fallen back in love with walking recently, and it's because I have a myriad of a few things. The one is fresh air, the one is an accountability buddy, and the third thing is coffee. Well, in my case, tea, but you get the picture. Do this for yourself. It goes beyond just exercising, which will be great for you. It helps your baby sleep because they get that stimulation from outside. Fresh air is amazing for them to sleep, and it makes you feel good as a person to have a friend, someone to talk to, and just gets you out of your home. And if you're tired, if you've been woken up a lot, and you feel like you just want to sleep all day, but you can't because you have this baby, getting outside with the fresh air and the sunshine will really, really help boost your energy levels, which you really, really need that first year after a baby is born. Add that walk into my next tip, which is to get onto a routine. I can't tell you how many clients, one of the first things that we talk about is getting them onto a routine or getting their baby onto a routine, because we take for granted that people will have some kind of schedule worked out or they know what to do. I certainly didn't. I needed some help in the beginning when I was getting ready to go back to work and I was looking at potential caregivers for our baby. Those were the people that were helping me get my baby onto a routine. I didn't really know how to do it. And I've done a lot of videos on routine, the power of it, getting your kids to sleep through the night, all this kind of stuff. So make sure you check those videos out. But getting yourself onto a routine, getting your baby onto a routine as much as possible is key. Key to mommy happiness, in my opinion. Then an essential part of a routine is some kind of sleep guidance or sleep training. People hear sleep training and they feel allergic to this word. You don't need to think of it as like neglecting your baby or letting them cry it out. In fact, if you get it right and you orchestrate their day and their routine, there's very little crying involved, especially when you do it from a young age. And you'll realize the power of it. A lot of moms don't realize how much sleep their little child really needs. So if you are wondering, just Google the age, how much sleep your baby needs in a 24-hour period, and you might be shocked because it's probably going to be a lot more than you think, which might mean you're not giving them enough sleep. So sleep guidance, sleep training, orchestrating the whole thing. I might do a video on this. If you're curious, let me know. I can do a more detailed sleeping video because sleep is my love language, one of them. So I'm very, very passionate about getting your kids onto a good routine and getting them to be independent, happy, healthy sleepers so that I can be a happy, healthy sleeper and be a better and happier person and happier mom. So it's very, very crucial and something that I wish I had mastered earlier on or asked for help earlier on. Sleep is so, so important. Continue to trust my gut. So this is something that I feel like I did a fairly good job about in the beginning, but probably could have done better. Hey, we can always improve. But if there are certain situations where you feel like this is the right direction for your baby, your child, your family, don't feel peer pressured in other ways. So certain things where I've experienced peer pressure is like what to feed my children, how much screen time I feel comfortable with, what type of school do I send them to? Now that I have school-aged children, how soon do I make them read, or there's all these kinds of things and pressures that we subliminally take on as moms depending on the environment and society that we live in, and then we kind of lose our own internal compass. And so I really encourage you to dial back into what your gut is telling you for your family. And hey, maybe it'll change. Maybe you won't get it right this time. Maybe your partner will have a different take, but at least you're trying to be as true and aligned to your internal compass for your family, because I do believe that every child is paired with the right mother for them, and there's a reason for that. And part of that is how you are going to parent them. So trust your gut. 2 things: buy things as you need them. So don't go ahead and buy too much stuff ahead of time, and buy as much secondhand as you can, because a lot of the things you use for such a short period of time. I don't know, we were given a lot of secondhand things, and I was very grateful for that. We were given like a travel cart and a crib and these big items, and we splurged on other things like a stroller that we used a ton. But with baby products and things, there's way too much choice a lot of the time. I've done a lot of podcasts on what I think should be on your baby registry and what shouldn't be, so you can go and check those out. But I feel like I could have done an even better job at that. I would buy things in anticipation that I would need them, and in reality, in this like hyper-clickable world, if I really needed something, I could either go and buy it in a store, or I could get it the next day or the next 2 days on Amazon, right? So it's not necessary. I'd almost rather see if I really need it, if I have a real need for it, and then purchase it, because that'll save you so much money and energy and time, and then you won't have to deal with trying to get rid of all the stuff that you barely used or didn't use at all. So on the subject of stuff, I mentioned sleep being one of my love languages, or sleep guidance. So is decluttering. I feel like this is my number 1 tip for keeping your home organized and just under control, so that the mental load is not so overwhelming for you. Decluttering your life, because you realize when you have children that, depending on how much help you have, but even if you have a ton, like the mental just car wash that's going on upstairs inside your head when there's too many things, it's too many clothes, you don't know which one to choose, or there's too much baby gear. Or I even went through a phase where I only wore gray, navy blue, black, white. I wore only neutral colors because I just didn't have the capacity to choose different clothes. I was just like, this is too much choice for me. I can't even manage. And so decluttering, paring down, only having what you need is so helpful when you have kids. Plus, it just teaches them so many things. They play more, they are more grateful for what they have, they value things more. It is just, I'm telling you, the longer I live and do this parenting thing, the more I'm convinced that decluttering, or just not acquiring so much stuff, is the way forward. And then the last one, let's end on a bang. And this is something that I really sucked at, and something that I'm still working on, is getting help. As I said before, self-confessed perfectionist, type A personality. I wanted to do things my way or the highway, and it was to my detriment. It led to burnout. It led to mini mental breakdowns where I just wanted, I wanted to have a hole open up in the floor and just go through it, especially when I had 2 kids. It just felt very overwhelming, and I don't want that for you. It's not a good feeling, and I don't think we support moms enough, especially not in American society. Maybe in European culture there is more of a sort of postpartum doula, mom coach that's kind of ingrained in the culture and provided for by the government. That is not the case here, and so you need to be an advocate for yourself and find the help that you need. So that's part of why I'm on the mission that I'm on, but there are just so many great resources out there. But nothing will replace an actual body or an actual person coming to help you, or just talk you through a scenario, helping your family. So I really encourage you to get help in whichever way you feel like you can, as a mom, as an individual, because we need help. We are not designed to do this alone, but we've created society, and we've created this expectation that you are a superhero if you are sleep deprived, if you're doing it all on your own, if you go back to work after 3 months or 6 weeks, you're kind of praised as being the sacrificial lamb. But at the end of the day, it's only your life that is really struggling, and you're the one who's suffering. So get some help, I waited way too long to get help, even basic stuff like babysitting and going on date nights, never mind any kind of like mental help or getting a coach myself, which is what I ended up doing. Seeing a therapist, all of these kinds of things are really, really important and will build you up to become the person and the mom that you're meant to be. So if you enjoyed this video and episode, make sure you go ahead and subscribe and share it with anyone who may find it helpful, and let me know if you have any ideas for topics that you would like me to cover in the comments down below. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'm so excited to see you in my next video. I'm sending you lots of light and love. Remember, you can do this. I'm rooting for you, and I will see you soon.